Justin Buttermore, Upper Arlington football, joining us here with Storied Rivals. And I always appreciate your time, Coach. It's always great to talk to you, and I'm glad you've had a good summer so far. And I do want to start, I guess with your connection to the Tri-Valley community, because you were the head coach there for a very long time, and you turned the program into what it is now, a powerhouse in the MVL, and really, turn that program around. And you and Josh Wright were on that staff together. And the news of his passing, I'm sure it was very tragic for that community and that team and those players. And so I just wanted to get your reaction on his passing and things.
Yeah, it was. It was one of the toughest things I ever had to deal with. He's Josh. We talked weekly, a couple times a week for the last 25 years. I don't know if everybody knows the whole story with Josh, but I met Josh at Capitol, and he's been a great friend. One of my best friends for 30 years, basically. And met him playing at Capitol. Met his family, went down and stayed with his family for a long time. And, some people know this, some people don't, but Josh is not only a great friend, but he's my brother-in-law. I invited my sister down to Little Sibs weekend at Capitol, and way back when. And she met Josh. And then when my wife and I got married, Josh and her started dating and got married. And so, Josh, not only a great friend, but he's been in my family for 25 years. And nobody quite like him. And it's honestly, it's still hard for me to accept that he's not here. For a guy, you get to my age, you don't talk to a lot of people outside of your family all the time. And
Right.
as a guy that I talk to a couple times a week, and we just sometimes just for fun, a lot of times football related. But it didn't matter what was going on. It could be the British Open, and we were talking about the British Open or whatever. But it's just it's a gut punch. He was a great individual. He's the kind of person that you want to be, and it's been a tough month. It's been a tough month, and I feel for my sister and her family, and everybody that knew Josh, because he had such a positive impact on everybody. And I don't. Some people again know this. They know that he was with me at Tri-Valley, but when I took the job in '04, Josh was my first call, and he was my brother-in-law at that point, but also a great friend. And he was all the way down in Cincinnati, coaching at Lakota West or Lakota East, one of the two. And I called him, and he was my first call. And I asked him to come up and be my offensive coordinator. And that was a commitment to move from Cincinnati to Zanesville, Ohio, which he had never been in, obviously. And my sister and Josh then made a life there over the past several years, and he's made so many connections and had such an impact on everybody. And just a guy that makes the world better. And that's why it's really difficult to take, difficult to accept, hard not to hear his voice on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talk so frequently. So, and I know it's hard on all those Tri-Valley guys. The guys, a lot of them that played for him, but then really got to know him as a coach over the past several years. You realize what a special person he is. So, just a hard one.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that he was your brother-in-law, so I didn't even know the family connection there, and that's, that makes it even more powerful. And again, I'm very sorry for your loss. I know that I talked to Dirk from Philo a couple weeks back, and he was talking about there were times he'd be. I talked to Cam about this too. There's times he was in the office or at the locker room like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. He's just always like. Was it that way like when he was coaching with you back in the mid 2000s?
Always, and I didn't know that about him. I knew Josh well, but I had no idea when I brought him with me. I was a early riser too, not as early as I am now, but I'd get in there early. But I never. I can't remember a time I beat him in the office, and sometimes he'd be sleeping on the couch when I got in there. But he beat me in there all the time, and he was a guy who was so committed to, and he just lived life. He just loved life. He loved life. He loved coaching. He loved teaching. He's the same way in the classroom. He's the first guy in to the classroom, to the school in the mornings to teach when he taught with us there, and I'm sure he was the same way last year. He's the first guy in, and then he just has a love for life. He loves competing, and he loves teaching the kids and coaching the kids, and loves to be around the guys. So, he's just he's really an irreplaceable. And I know you hear that all the time, but like his personality, and I know I said it in the paper, but his personality and his presence, and there's just nobody else in my life quite like him. And I think that almost everybody would tell you that he's that type of guy.
I'm sure that you've been doing a lot of thinking about your Tri Valley days and stuff, just with everything that's gone on the last month or so. And I'm sure you've talked to Cam and everything like that. But is there anything that stands out when you think about your time at Tri Valley, big or small?
I mean, just what an experience it was. I mean, the building of the program with Josh and with Cam as a player. Um, I take pride in the fact that when I see those guys at coaching clinics and things like that, even Cam's staff today was made up of a couple guys that I brought with me to Coach Cameron and Coach Wright and Marty Bice, and then the rest of the staff are guys that played for me. And I'm just so proud that those guys are the ones carrying on the tradition of the program. I know they'll continue to build it in the right way and do their best job to continue to make Tri Valley great. And it was just such a great experience. My kids grew up there. Our family grew up there, and I spent some time with some really great people, and that I'm still connected with and talk to all the time. So it's just a source of pride. I love what they're doing, and I love the fact that the guys doing it are guys that grew up in our program.
Well, we'll move forward and talk about your Upper Arlington Golden Bears because I know when you look at the way last season came to a close, you shared the OCC title. Obviously, a great year, went 10-3, and you ended up losing to the eventual state champion Olentangy Liberty Patriots in round 3 of the playoffs, and that was a real close game. Are you the kind of coach that do you carry that like that momentum and everything that went on last season? Do you carry that into this offseason and moving forward into 2025, or are you the type of coach that kind of wipes the slate clean and it's a brand new year, brand new team?
Well, I think as a coach, when you're dressing your new team, I think you do have to wipe the slate clean. I tell the kids all the time that no matter how many wins or losses we've had over the last 5 years, none of that's going to have an impact on our wins and losses this year. I mean, it's about the work you put in the off season. It's about
Mm-hmm.
how you grow as a team and how you develop. During the summer and now in the next couple of weeks before the season starts. So I think you have to kind of flush it and kind of approach it as, hey, this is a new year. There's different players. We have a lot of new faces. We graduated 33 seniors a year ago. And there's going to be a lot of guys that have not played much varsity football that are playing. So, while they've been along for the ride, and I do think, we push tradition and the importance of tradition and those things and trying to uphold the tradition and build on it. So I think you certainly push those things, but every year is new. And just because we won last year, or the year before, doesn't mean we're going to win this year. You got to go out and work for it so that you earn a right to every Friday night win. But I'd be lying if I said I think the coaches have a tougher time flushing those losses than players. I mean, there are a lot of wins last year and a lot of great plays, but the losses, especially the deeper you get in the playoffs, they're hard. I mean, they're hard and they remain hard in your head. And you think about little things you could have done, should have done. And I just think that's the way coaches are kind of wired.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that game with Liberty and they ended up winning the state championship, do you think if one or two more things could have went your way, we'd be sitting here talking about how you were the state champions in 2024?
I think it's tough not to think that way. I mean, a lot of things would have had
Yeah.
to, you still would have had to beat, they were a great team, but we were pretty good too. And we would have had a chance in the games that we played after that, but you would have had to gone out and proved it each and every week. So, it's not a surefire thing, but certainly when you play and you're leading the entire game and then, right at the end, they kind of scored to beat us. You think, well, maybe, but you got to do it on the field. That's why you got to find a way to win close games. You got to find a way to win critical moments in games. And they made one more play than we did, and went on and played extremely well after that to win a state title. And it was great for our league.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned you graduated 33 seniors. I think Liberty graduated 31. That's not totally uncommon for, these big Division I programs, but I was looking at the all OCC teams for last year, and I'm going to list off a bunch of names here because you had a bunch of guys on the all OCC teams. But first team, you had Cal Thrush, who was a senior, graduated. He was also the defensive player of the year. Senior Zach Corna, senior Noah Gellert, junior Jake Braun, junior Trent Wolpert, senior Wally Swiney. Second team, you had senior James Wilcox, senior Kyle Cox, senior Ian Donahue, senior Jacob DuPont, and then one guy on the honorable mention, senior Kyle McLaughlin, tons of seniors, and I think only Trent and Jake are the guys returning from those all OCC teams. You graduate a defensive player of the year, you're starting quarterback. You mentioned it. You lose a lot of talent and whatnot, but how do you go about replacing your defensive player of the year, your starting quarterback? And I guess what does the makeup of your roster look like this year? That's a long way to get to what's the makeup of your roster.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's a lot of new faces, and I mean, Cal Thrush is obviously playing at Michigan State now.
Yeah.
I don't think you can kind of plug and replace a guy like that. I mean, maybe some schools have division, Power Four guys year after year. We don't. Um, so you got to do it by committee. I mean, you've got to do it through development. We take great pride as a staff in developing our young kids and getting them great JV reps and important JV reps. And we take JV games and freshman games serious because we want those guys to learn our stuff and when they're ready, when it's their time to step in, be ready to step in and contribute. And while no one person is going to take over for really any of those guys, that corner is going on to play at Bucknell. He's a difficult guy to replace. We have to do it by committee, and some of it's going to have to be in gaining experience. Some of these guys are not going to step right in game one and uh, play perfect varsity football. They've not played that speed, and no matter how much you try to simulate it in practice, it's different when you get to the games. And so a lot of these guys, especially defensively, we're going to have to learn on the run. We replace about 8-9 guys defensively, and we're going to have to learn on the run. We're going to have to get experience in a hurry because there's going to be some sophomores that are playing on both sides of the ball. And we really haven't had to play many sophomores because we are a bigger school and our numbers are pretty good that we don't have to do that. But we're going to have some young guys that have to play, and they're going to have to play well for us to be the type of team we want to be at the end of the year. Now, having said that, offensively, we return a lot of offensive linemen, and I feel like we can be significantly improved in certain areas offensively than we've been in the past few years.
Now, as far mentioning you bring back pretty much all of your offensive line, that's huge for whoever steps in at quarterback. Do you have an experienced guy on the roster that that can kind of step in and has seen some of those varsity reps, or is it a younger guy that you think might step in kind of once you flesh things out here?
We have an experienced guy, a guy that played. We played a lot of situational football with him last year in Luke Backus. He played some wide receiver, but he played a lot of reps in certain situations. We used him as a package guy, but incredibly explosive. One of the most gifted quarterbacks that I've had in terms of he doesn't maybe have the height that you think of as a prototypical quarterback, but incredibly explosive runner and got a really, really big arm. So he's a kid that's got tremendous potential and just as he's played some, he just hasn't played as much, so he's not a household name. And we have a sophomore behind him, Charlie Hunt, who is going to be an outstanding player too, and is going to get some reps and going to get his opportunity. But he played varsity basketball as a freshman last year, which at a school like up Arlington is a pretty big deal to be playing varsity as a freshman. So he's a kid that is not going to be shy of the varsity lights, and he's not going to be, in any way, I don't think, nervous about getting out there. So we have two guys, and then we have some young guys that are competing and getting better every day. But those two guys, we have total trust and confidence that they're going to execute at a high level.
What's on your schedule over the next 3-4 weeks as you get ready for week one as far as scrimmages go?
Well, I mean, one of our biggest priorities, honestly, because we have a lot of new faces, we just got to build depth. You try to be too deep everywhere. Where if somebody gets dinged, you can finish a game with your two, and he's good enough to go in and play and compete in varsity football. And a big priority with our staff here in the next couple of weeks. We've had a great camp in the summer. We've made a lot of great strides, and kids have improved a great deal. But there are a few areas where depth is not as great as it's been. Because we don't have quite as many seniors and upper class kids that are ready to play. So we got to build some depth, and there's going to be some guys that are going to take a few reps, starters on defense that are going to take a few reps that are not going to be starters on offense. But if we get in a critical moment and we need a guy that's a really talented player to play a few reps on offense or defense, so we're going to try to really prioritize that in the next 2 weeks leading up to the game. We have two outstanding scrimmages. We have Hilliard Darby, who is under now Brad Birchfield, and they're going to be incredibly physical and try to pound the ball right at you. And I think that'll be a great test for our guys. And then we'll have Olentangy the following Thursday, and they have tremendous personnel and talent, and have been a really good team over the past couple of years. But I think those two things will really challenge us. It'll show us where we're at, and I expect that we're going to need to improve a lot of things as the year goes on with a lot of young kids playing. But I think those two things will those two scrimmages will be big tests for us and allow us to kind of see where we're at.
I asked Wes at Olentangy Orange this question because both you and him have coached at Division One, both at Division III at Granville for a couple of years, and you've seen football at different levels, Division One, Division III. But I mean, what makes Division One football like different from other divisions? I mean, is it simply that players are just better? I know the schools are bigger, and you've got a bigger roster, a bigger coaching staffs and things, but is it just the players are just better, or what is it about Division One that makes it different and separates it from other levels of football?
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers are the big thing. I mean, it's just sheer numbers. Um, you know, the we've had great players. I mean, I have such respect for small school football. I mean, I loved my time playing small school football in high school at West Branch. I loved my time at Tri Valley and Granville. Um, the crowds in those small towns, honestly, are
Hmm.
times greater than the crowds are in the big towns, even though these are much bigger schools, just because it's the only thing going on in town. So, um, there's great players everywhere. There are great players everywhere. I just think the depth of talent when you're at a bigger school, you got two or three of that guy instead of just one maybe. And there's not. I think oftentimes there's not maybe as big a drop between your ones and twos.
Hmm.
The other piece is that we're able to two platoon a little more. So, and the ability to two platoon means one, guys can stay a little more fresh. Obviously, we don't have to play guys both ways. Um, and the other thing that allows you to practice two platooning, which gives you additional time on offense and defense. So you can develop your schemes maybe a little more. You can add a little bit more as the season goes on because you have guys just practicing offense and guys just practicing defense instead of having to split your practice time between the two. So you just have more time to kind of install and maybe add little wrinkles as you go, which you add at the smaller divisions as well. But you just have increased time to work on those things as you go along.
Yeah, and the OCC it has to be the best conference in the state of Ohio, and especially in Division One. And um, like with the has there ever been a time at UA where you've gone up against a team? Let's just say it's week 8 and this team's 2-6, but you play this team, and just because of how talented the OCC is, you're like, man, that's not a 2-6 football team that we're playing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Every year that happens. I mean, every year that happens. I remember Liberty even 2 years ago. I think they went maybe 4-6, but their initial schedule was, I mean, brutal. I mean, they played the Pickeringtons, they played Glenville, they played Gahanna. I mean, their schedule at one point they were like 1-5 maybe or 1-4, and yet they could beat anybody in our league. I mean, they were that good, and and I think they did beat us that year. They were so every year I feel like in our conference, and I'm sure it's true in some of the others as well. But every year in our conference, there's a team that you're looking at that you're lining up to play them, and they're 2-4, 3-4, and you're like, if we don't play well, we're going to get beat. And I feel like that every year. Our division, I think, is brutal, and there are a lot of brutal divisions, but I think our division, I mean, from best to worst, I mean, the teams that finished fourth, fifth, sixth in our conference last year, I think almost all of them won a playoff game, and a couple of them won two. And it's they finished fourth in our league or fifth in our league, and they won a couple of playoff games. I mean, it's a really incredibly difficult league. I think it's really coached well. I think there are some guys that really do a great job. And so, I tell our kids this, and I tell our coaches this. I mean, there's not a game where we line up. If we play poorly, we're going to struggle to win. And there's not a game that's not true in throughout the year.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for hopping on today, man, and talking football for 20 minutes or so. And I did not realize coming in this that Josh was your brother-in-law, so I didn't even know the family connection, but I appreciate you sharing everything that you did about him. And again, I'm sorry for your loss of someone who's not only a great coaching colleague that you had for a number of years, but family. And so I am sorry for your loss, Coach, but I appreciate your time talking football as always, man. And best of luck with the rest of the off season and as you go on your quest for a repeat in the OCC for a league title.
I appreciate it. Appreciate all you do, man.
Of course.